Okay. So last time it was the end of week 8 and we just finished 100 transmissions. And I was solving an octagon for its area, so I had to use the reference. So now we finally got signal 19, and I wonder if they did the thing about how... No. They didn't do the thing about how we've seen the missing signal to make the dictionary happy. I guess we can... if we look... We want to decide how they are writing these numbers out. 2, 5, 4, 6, 8, 7, 1. I don't know. I'm not gonna look into that too much because I don't have a clue. Anyway, first I'm just gonna press recompile because I don't want to have that define symbol icon in the way. Or define signal, I mean. So what is this? We have a point, a line, and a shape. Then we have 3 points. Then we have a shape using the 3 points. And then we're defining the signal. Okay. The signal is point 0, line 0, shape 0. The other signal is point 0, point 1, point 2. The shape is point 0, point 1, point 2. So it's saying this undefined symbol or signal is equal to poly 0. So I'm just gonna write 0. P. Point. Okay. P is point. So there's a point that's equal to our undefined signal. There's a line segment that's equal to our undefined signal. Another one of these transitions. What's that? The question mark is just 0. Either this transmission contains non-integral information, or it's something that it doesn't care to test. Potentially, this transmission intends to outline or clarify something without testing our comprehension. Either way, let us just progress. We should in a moment, but I'll try and get some meaning out of this. So it says the undefined signal is equal to a point, then the undefined signal is equal to a line, then the undefined signal is equal to a shape, and then it wants us to just say 0 is equal to 0. Just to say, okay, we sent the information, we don't care about your response. Maybe they are just... So it seems they're just sending us information and they just want us to confirm that we've read it. They aren't testing our understanding. Okay, new signal 0 with 0.0.1. New signal 0 is a line segment. And new signal 1 is 3 lines. New signal 1 is poly... Is there a number? No. Okay, so now we have new signal is just 2 numbers, so it's a point. New signal is a point, a line, 2 numbers, a variable, a shape, another shape. So what is it? I don't know. Is this just going to be another thing where I say it's 0? So the first 2 things says the new signal with 2 numbers is a point. Then it says the new signal with all of these other things is something. Do I have a word that... I don't know. Do I just say it's equal to the whatever the signal is? So let's define it first. Unknown. It was that. I don't know. So the only idea, I guess, is it's a list or an array or something. Okay, it seems that I want a space after points, but I don't know if that's going to fix the problem I'm observing here. Maybe. Yeah, it will. If I do a space before, it should fix the problem. So the same for the line segment. Space before. And for the shape, space before. Then I will just define this for now as a list. Since I don't know how else to define what it is. So we have 5 points being declared. We have 7 lines being declared. 4 shapes being declared. An undefined signal is 5. The point of it's the count. There's 5 points, 7 lines, and 4 polygons. So count, or maybe size. I'll do count. I'm gonna put a dash. Point count, line segment count, poly count is 4. And there is no list, so list count is 0. No? Then where's the list? Does that mean everything? So it's 2 plus 3 plus 1 is 6. So it's not a list. It's... maybe. Maybe it's a list. I don't know. I'm gonna try array. I mean, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. But... Alright, let's fix the formatting. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 arrays. Array 0 is empty. Array 1 has array 0. Array 2 has both of them. Array 3 has array 1 and array 2, but not array 0. Array 4 has array 0 and array 2. Array 4 counts. Should be 1. It should only be 2, but maybe I'm misunderstanding something. It's only 2. Okay. 0. It's empty. This transmission's a big one. 254 signals compiled. That's the highest count so far, correct? Yep. So we have a point with 3 numbers, suggesting it's a point in 3D, 3 dimensions. Which means this is going to be really hard for me to grasp. One, and then -1. -1, 1, -1. Is it going to be a cube? It's probably going to be a cube. 1, -1, -1. Ooh. -1, -1, -1. Okay, so that's the back face of the cube. Then we're gonna have the same thing. I'm just gonna draw it slightly in front. So we have 1, 1, 1, -1, 1, 1, 1, -1, 1, -1, -1, 1. So the length, it's a cube, and the length of every side is 2. I probably don't need to go over all of these, but I also shouldn't get in the habit of making assumptions like this. It's just, it seems really obvious that this is what it's gonna be. So anyway, the perimeter is 24, so we have, it's just 2 times the number of lines. Number of lines is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There it is. It starts with 0, ends with 11. I don't need to count like that. There's 12. So the perimeter is 24. That makes sense. Area of the cube is probably 1, 2, 3, 4. Isn't it only, it's only 8, right? Okay. So now we have 1 is variable 0 squared. But it goes even further. Plus y squared. So this is a circle. Poly 0 and poly 0. There's a function. Oh, okay. So it's saying this is a function for the area. Sorry. It's just a function to define a shape, which is going to be a circle. And it says the area of the circle is 1 squared. No. Area equals 1 squared times z squared? I don't know what variable 2 is. Perimeter. I wonder why it's always 1 and... 1 times 2 z z equals what? Maybe it's saying the area is 1 and the area is also 2. No, that's not how you read this. Okay, let's go to the reference for circle. Area of a circle is radius squared times pi. Perimeter of a circle is 2 pi r. R is radius, yeah. Okay. Is it just asking me for what the radius is? which would, I guess, would be 1? Or... is it pi? It's pi, probably. Let's see. Let's try pi. Yes. Why aren't you jumping up and down? Isn't this like the Super Bowl for you? I am excited. I am happy. This is just what it looks like. Well, it doesn't look like much. I am pleased. I even predicted Pi's appearance earlier. When? You never mentioned Pi. Earlier I did. I don't remember you mentioning that, Batista. They're both gaslighting him. He did. I remember him mentioning it, so that's messed up. Because it was when they were talking about Euler's number, I think, or constant. Here. They're lying to him. That's messed up. Well, anyway. New signal. I'm just pressing recompile. So we have 0.875. This looks like... 7/8. So 7/8 and 1 with the new signal is equal to 1. 1/8 and 1 with our new signal is 0. I don't know what this number means. But that and 2 with the new signal is 2. It's rounding. 2 and 0.5. No, sorry. 1.98 rounds up to 2. 0.5 rounds up to 1. This rounds down. So the new signal is round. So this is 3. How come there's a wrong number of digits? Good question. Really? That's your input? Thinking, do not rush. Might have to do with base 8 to base 10 conversion. Floating point numbers struggle with different bases. Floating point numbers? Think decimals, or base 8 decimals, or binary decimals. Since base 8 deals with 8ths and 16ths, while base 10 deals with tenths and hundredths, what we call 2.1875 can be represented in base 8 as just 2.25. It is the same precision, the same value, but built with different components. So I still hate base 8. I thought you had slain that beast earlier with the base 10 update. That update made this beast. If we stayed in base 8, we would see the proper number of digits. So are you going to fix it? And keep us in base 10 still? Update coming soon. Okay. So he's gonna solve floating point. Error? Or I don't know what to call it. So What is the... What is the number in front of round? I didn't pay attention to that in the previous transmission. It's the precision. So round to 1 point of precision, round to 2 points of precision, round to 1, round to 1. So I accidentally got it right. Whoops. Cancel. So it's 5. This is 2 point. 2.25? Shouldn't it be 2.2? This is 5, sure. This is... So this is weird because I'm thinking about it like significant figures, but it's really about the decimal precision. I don't know. One decimal precision. It's really 0. 2 decimal precision. But it's weird. It is weird. Like this one seems like I just enter the same thing. No. So I am misunderstanding something. Maybe it's just 21.3? Is it just 21? And our newest signal is next in line. No gaps in our dictionary. Happy dictionary, happy life. I still don't get what that means. Maybe this is significant figure, and there was just something wrong. So it's pi to 6 significant figures. 1, 2, 3. Seems like more. Euler's number down to 2 significant figures. Let's define the new signal as anything. It's a dot dot dot. That's what it's supposed to be. Suspenseful, though it's fitting, I reckon. So why is this 6 significant figures? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait, 5, 4, 3, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it should be 2.718281. If not, then I literally just have to guess, or I ignore what they put and go with what makes sense to me, which would be 2.7. I don't like that. I don't like that what we're receiving is inconsistent with what I'm sending back. It's very odd. I guess that's the point, is that we need to assume there's some error in the rounding that's causing what they're sending to be wrong. But that worries me because the implication is that there's gonna be errors in communication, and we're gonna have to make assumptions on what they meant to send, and I don't know about if that becomes more complex than what it is right now, which was already bothering me, then I don't know. It's gonna be rough. So 1/3 to 3 significant figures is 0.33, drop the rest. 2/3 is... So they just want me to write 666 dot dot dot. New update. Does SigFig work with decimals now? Yeah. Wonderful. This will make much more sense moving forward for humans. Batista, sometimes you speak as if you aren't a human. I just meant that our rounding would make sense to the aliens since they use base 8. You are a human, right? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 14, 15, 16. The length is 16. That was rounding. The previous was data. There's still one that's no clue. Okay. What is this asking me for? Also, I guess I'll look at these. Take a look at this. I wrote it from bars to letters because that gels better in my head. Here's the math equation I got. S squared plus y squared equals z squared. Any bells ringing? Heckers, you made a good find. Yeah, that is the Pythagorean theorem. I wrote about it earlier in the reference tab under math under distance, but good find. Thanks, Batista. So can you call me Eagle Eye Allen? I think I've earned the title now. No, it was worth a shot. Okay, so if this one is also not really useful, then I think I'll just mark it as red. Yep, they flipped the script. Last transition we had to use area to calculate the perimeter, now it's backwards. Script is flipped. 1 poly, that's just an octagon, right? Sailor problem with an octagon. I haven't figured out area. It sounds like math. I'm checking the reference tab. I'll need the reference tab. I've got it all up here in my noggin. Weren't you the one to ask for it? Yeah, it was me. There was 2 ideas for this one. This looks familiar. I feel like I've seen this formula in the reference tab. Try 2D shapes. Okay, that's what they're just telling me to look at over and over and over again. Found it. I found the formula for this shape. It draws a circle, and then we have some formula for the area and perimeter. What's missing? There's a coefficient related to the circle. I'll let you know when I figure it out. Yeah, okay, they're like spelling it out for me in those. Well, anyway, so variable 0 is 2, variable 1 is 5, so 2, 5. One and 1 variable 0. What does 1 variable 0 mean? I don't know. Equals 2. 2 and variable 1 added together equals 5. Question mark. Variable 0, variable 1. Is variable 0 a plus sign? So it's plus and then 3. So I'm sending over a list. One and 1 is equal to variable 0. 2 and 3 added, or 1 plus 1 is equal to variable 0. 2 plus 3 is equal to variable 1. Variable 0 plus variable 1 is equal to variable 2. And it's asking me for all 3 of them. So it's 2, 5, and 7. Okay. We've got an array of 2 variables. The size is the length, the count, the length. The count is 2. Variable 0 and 2 significant figures is equal to 12. Variable 3 and what equals variable 2, variable 3. This seems odd. So this is a 3-way equivalence. It's saying variable 0 at 2 significant figures is equal to 12 is equal to variable 3. But variable 0 not at 2 significant figures must be something else. But anyway, variable 2 is 2. Variable 3 is 12. I think. Okay. So now we have x is... Wait, can I do what he was suggesting? Like doing... what am I looking for? I was looking for a way to condense 2 a specific phrase, basically to create a custom entry to the dictionary, but I guess that's a bit tricky for them to implement. Well, anyway, so variable 0 is equal to the shape. Variable 1 is equal to a line. Variable 2 is equal to a number. Variable 3 is equal to another number. Variable 4 is equal to variable 2 and variable 3 multiplied together. And then what are all of the variables? Okay, let's write it down. We have v0 equals shape. Why am I not just writing poly 0? This is miserable to write in. Okay, let's just do it in different notes. Var 0 equals poly 0. And I'll also pin it. Var 1 equals line segment 0. Var 2 equals 3. Var 3 equals 8. Var 4 equals 24. So I don't have any info on what the poly and line segment is, so I assume I just enter those directly. So it's poly 0, ls 0, 3, 8, 24. Okay. Alright team, it's past 22 o'clock. It's been a long day and a longer week. Let's keep this brief. We've been in the control room for 16 hours. Time flies. Oh, did my game crash? No. We usually work 14 hours. Any new findings from my translation team? Are they five-legged creatures? Do they feast on heavy metals? Do they speak in chords? Dr. Doppler, I think sleep would find you well right about now. Bah, I'm fine. Who needs coffee when you have sleep? Once again, yeah, you're right. We're all due for some sleep. So tell me, what's new? Give me the rundown, Dr. J-Dog. To use their words, array, count, sigfig, ... And if it helps to provide context, we have already defined point, line segment, polygon, geometry, beautiful. No, not beautiful, difficult, cumbersome. Don't romanticize my pain. Hackers can be a bit much at times, so I've heard. Though it's peculiar, we defined array after length. Huh. Any theories why, linguist? It's not the first time we've defined terms out of order. We defined and before negative. I suspect they're grouped by meaning, just as exponent came late but was related to signals 5 through 8. These other ones. I hypothesize a similar categorization is at play here. Understood, though not fully. I'll have to sleep on that thought, as we all should. But first, this week's most valuable employee. Any guesses who this is for? It's gotta be Collins. We're all a bit tired. I'll keep the theatrics brief. This trophy is for Dr. Collins. Great work on all your linguistics analysis. Thank you, Dr. Doppler, though it really is a team effort. This guy is just giving rewards to whoever says the most in the meeting. I mean, what else could he possibly do if he's only being briefed in this exact moment, but... Anyway, so let's all head home. Good night, you four. Good night, Collins, Dop, Dr. J Dog, Batista. Sweet dreams, everyone. Night. Okay. So what did I define? I already forgot. It was array, count, sig fig, and ... just saying it's repeating, or yeah, like a pattern repeating, but they're not gonna continue writing it. So they're gonna give me better definitions than count and sig fig at least. Vexed. Still only me and Dr. J Dog haven't received a stupid Employee of the Week trophy. Who cares? The Meteor's mathematical logic is pleasant. They should instruct us to build a computer. Dear Diary, Doppler honored me with an Employee of the Week trophy. Well, it is an individual science academic trophy for Layla Doppler for the 1961 Oak Falls Brain Battle, a trivia competition of some kind, I would imagine. I suppose Doppler has a smart daughter. Sleep sounds good about now, but it can wait. I have got a meteor in front of me. What would come after list and 3D shapes? Probably like, I guess they'll start sending us 2D or multi-dimensional lists. They've already been doing that though. Kinda. So I don't know. I've got no ideas on what they'll send next week. Alright, so let's see what the hypotheses are for these signals and if I like them better than what I have. This one, I already know I'm just gonna like what Batista put, because keep going and continued is terrible. For this, round, approximately, close enough. I prefer sig fig because it's more specific on what they're asking. Or it's just, it feels more readable to me. Rather than just writing like 2 round, it's 2 significant figures. Or significant digits, I guess, but I will read this and understand it better than whatever they're suggesting. Then what about count? Whoops. Quantity, number, amount. Number sign is not bad. Shoot, I keep clicking the wrong things. Dictionary, count, number. I'll just do number sign without a dash then. Okay, so I've now been sent 3 signals. I'll just recompile so I don't have those things in the way. So the signal 26 is numbered, and it's accompanied by an open parentheses, a number, and then equals, and then a 1 closing parentheses, then another equals, and then another signal. That is very odd. It's, so if I were to just, for now, say it's a bracket. So it's like 0 bracket, 1 equals 1. But it's with parentheses. But then there's another equals. That doesn't make much sense. No, the closing bracket, so it'd be like that? Yeah, the brackets don't make sense then. Alright, so 20. I don't know how to write it. I guess I'll do it like 0. And then 1 equals 1 equals that. What could this mean? I'm not sure. Okay, let me look at the next one. So after the double and, we've got 26, 1 equals 0 equals... Is this saying like true or false? So it's booleans? Or is it greater than or less than, maybe? The fact that there's an equal sign is making me think it's true or false and not the greater than or less than. But okay, so it was from here, 1 equals 0, this, and then a new signal. So now this is 26, 2, 1 equals -1 equals 28, so this one would be false. Then 26, 3. I mean, it already seems that I'm correct. 1 equals 2 equals 28. It's also false. So compare true false. Okay. It seems very often that the new line on the equal sign is awkward, so maybe it's about time I make it so that equal sign is on one line. Maybe that'll make this much more easy to read. So, well, anyway, I'm just gonna write false. So now we compare 1 to 2 minus 1. That's true. Compare 2 to 1 plus 1. That is also true. You know, when I was brought onto this project, this was not at all what I expected. My boss called me in, said the head of materials science, some Dr. Douglas Doppler, requested an astronomy consultant. I was quickly briefed, agreed, and now I'm 2,000 miles away, working through cryptic alien puzzles with you 3 blokes. If you were briefed, even briefly, why didn't you know what to expect from the mission? I'm an astronomer, that's what I expected. Some of this is out of my wheelhouse, I'll admit. Linguistic analysis in support of translating an extraterrestrial artifact. That was the title description on my office desk. I'd say so far it's been an accurate depiction, though similarly, uncharted territory. Yeah, you've certainly contributed to a good chunk of what we've gotten through. Same with Dr. Batista. Don't sell yourself short, Dr. Eckers. You recognize the hydrogen line frequency. We wouldn't have gone anywhere without that. Sure. So I guess
all that's hinting, if it's hinting anything, it's saying that he's gonna come into play later. Okay, so we got true, false, true. Now we're comparing if true is equal to false. No, it's false. Then we compare if false is equal to true, it's false. Now we compare if true is equal to true, it's true. Dr. Ackers, if all this alien decryption is out of your wheelhouse, what would you consider in your wheelhouse? I'm an astronomer. I expected to consult more on astronomy. You know, stars, galaxies, black holes, neutron stars, planets, moons. Not so much on decrypting radio transmissions. And your research focus? My dissertation was titled Radio Astronomy to Map the Milky Way's Elemental Composition. Radio astronomy. It's like using an optical telescope, except instead of visible light, you're looking for radio waves. Atoms and compounds naturally emit electromagnetic radiation, always at distinct and consistent frequency bands. You pick up on those bands and you know what you're looking at. Fascinating. You're mapping the invisible. Okay. They are really glazing him. True is equal to... I guess this is exclamation point. Where is this? Dictionary. Define this as exclamation point. True is equal to not false. False is equal to not true. 1 equals 1 is true. 1 equals 0 is false. True is equal to false, so compare 2 is false. 2 is false, so not false. There's nothing to compare to. So I guess it's just saying that compare 3 is the opposite of compare 2, which means it would be true. Comparison 0 is true. Comparison 1 is false with a variable. Okay, what are they telling me? Why is this transmission asking for 3 responses at once? That's annoying. That'll make it tougher. I imagine that is the point. The aliens don't want us to stumble through their message, brute forcing through all the signals. This is an intentional roadblock, something we must overcome to understand. Well, these aliens ask for a lot. Suppose they are emphatic about us understanding this meteor's message. Okay. Anyway, so true is compare 0, compare 1 is false, and that's also saying variable 0 is false. Compare 2 is true, so variable 1 is true. Compare 3 is true, and variable 2 is true. Okay, well now I have to go through all that again, because I'm not remembering it. It's asking for variable 0, variable 1, variable 2. Variable 0, so first, compare 1 is false, so variable 0 is false. Compare 2 is opposite of compare 1 and variable 1, so variable 1 is true. Variable 3 is opposite of false, and variable 2 is equal to that, so variable 2 is true. So the answer is false, true, true. Let's get this out of the way. Dr. Eckers, you mentioned elemental composition in your dissertation title. Help me understand. Right, I'd love to share. All matter is made of atoms. We can classify and characterize the atoms if we count their protons and electrons. Hydrogen has 1 proton and 1 electron. Helium's got 2 of each. Carbon's got 6. And while there are many elements, some are more common than others in the universe. So by proportional frequency, you're saying we know that, across the universe, hydrogen is more prevalent than carbon. Yeah, way more prevalent. And I can give you the exact numbers, too. Pretty much the whole universe is hydrogen and helium. About 98% if you count by mole rather than by mass. So the universe at scale is shockingly homogeneous. I wouldn't go that far. Some atoms, mostly. Or same atoms? I didn't read that carefully enough. How they're arranged in space makes all the difference. You get a lot of mass in one stellar zip code, and they come together to form a star. And suddenly, the star fuses atoms together. That's what finally makes the new elements. And if the star creates too much mass or runs out of new atoms to fuse, it goes supernova and explodes with even bigger, newer atoms. And if the star is dense enough, it collapses into a black hole. And what happens then? Not sure. Black holes are a mathematical curiosity, but no one's ever seen one. Okay. True, new signal, true equals true. True, this looks like it's gonna be ampersand. Yes. So it's weird because it's another comparison. Yeah, it's weird. Well, anyway, true and true is true. True and false is false. False and false is false. Compare 0 is true. Compare 1 is false. Compare 2 is true and false, which means it's false. Compare 0 is true. Compare 1 is true. Compare 2 is false. True and... okay, what are they telling me now? Another 3 at once. Those boogers. I, for one, am thankful. I want to squeeze every last drop out of meaning out of this message. If this is their method of choice, then so be it. Well, I admire your intrigue, Dr. Collins. Okay, first, I guess, let's look at what they're asking for. You want variable 0, variable 1, variable 2. So, the first thing is true, true, false. Variable 0 is equal to true and true, so variable 0 is true. Variable 1 is equal to true and false, so variable 1 is false. Variable 2 is equal to false and false, so variable 2 is false. New signal. Just get that out of the way. So now we have true, and then another comparison, probably. Another kind of comparison. True, it's gonna be or. I'm just assuming, but that's the only thing that makes sense at this point, so. Ooh, I can't do... I'll just write or then, because I don't know what else to do. Logical or. You never checked the reference tab, did you? No, of course I did. Dr. J-Dog, do you think you could explain it for me? So, I want to write it as how I would write it with programming, but it doesn't let me enter that symbol. Yeah, I don't know. So true or true is true, true or false is true, false or false is false. We have true and false. True or false is true. We have true and false. True or true. Okay, so they're asking for a variable 0, variable 1, variable 2 again. Variable 0 is true. Variable 1 is true or false, so it should be true. Variable 2 is false or false, so it's false. Yes, you know what? If that's how the aliens are gonna play, then fine. I play. Bring the triples on. I admire your grit. Okay, so what did I say? It's true, true, false. Now it's comparing 1 plus 1 equals 2, that's true. Compare 1 plus 1 equals 3, that's false. It's asking for only 2 this time. Oh my goodness. Give me a... they keep on... putting in dialogue while I'm in the middle of thinking, so I have to cancel my thought process to process what they're communicating. A double test, no triple. Just when I was getting fired up. It's a good point you bring up. There's always a bit of meaning in the way each transmission is structured. That's definitely what I'm saying. No, you weren't, but that's okay. You brought it to my attention. You know why they're giving us a double instead of a triple? No. Look at the transmission. They're directly comparing and or. They're delineating the difference between the two. So they're just forcing the hint down my throat. Okay. So variable 0 is equal to comparing 0 with 1. If either of them are true, then variable 0 is true. 0 is, the first comparison is true, so variable 0 is true. But when there's ampersand, since the second one is false, then variable 1's false. So it's true, false. Okay. Now it's... the first comparison is true, the second one is true and false, so it's false. The third comparison is false or true, so it's true. The fourth comparison is false. And I don't remember any of that. I only remember the last one. False, and since it's flipped, that means this one should be true. The first one was also true, and the second one was false. So true, false, true, false. Should I just put them as 1s and 0s? I have a good feeling about this. And there it is, my favorite green light. Now a new signal. We've got a comparison between... okay, so this has to be greater than. So 1 is greater than 0, 1 is not greater than 1. 1 is... or 0 is not greater than 1, 1 is not greater than 1. And then lastly, 1 is Or 2 is greater than 1, so the answer is true. Let me just put in greater than. Ooh. Whoops, I didn't mean to recompile, but it's alright. Okay, well now since since I put equivalents on the same line, I'm probably gonna end up putting all of the operations on the same line. I'm not sure about that actually. I'll just leave it alone. Maybe for now, this one I'll do just a space after, or both before and after. Okay, well this was true. Okay, now we've got variable, we're asking for variable 0, 1, and 2. I'm just gonna write it as A equals B equals C equals. Maybe that's easier for me to go through. Okay, at least this time I didn't actually do any thinking. The triples are back. Let's do this. So it's false, false, true. And the more I do this, the more I just want to write true as 1 and false as 0. But I feel like that'll get kind of confusing, since it's not really intuitive to distinguish between when 1 is a number versus when it's a Boolean. Okay, so now we're comparing 0, new signal. This has to be less than, right? The cleanliness is increasing. Okay, so formatting, just do space before and after. Five is less than 6 is true. Variables are. So I don't think I actually started much other than looking at the first line. So it's true, false, false. Okay, I should just do T and F. I don't know why I didn't think of just doing T and F. Maybe I'll have to change it later, though. What does it mean on this first line? Greater than or less than or equal? It's telling me what... It's telling me that the response they're looking for is going to use one of those 3 signals. And there's going to be 1, 2, 3, there's 4. The first one is 1 and 2. No, what I just said about the first line is wrong. 1 and 2 added together is 3. 1 and 4. Oh, wait, no, I am correct. It's 3. And then we compare it to 1. So 3 is greater than 1. Okay, next line is 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. Then we have 8 squared is greater than 8. And we have 16 what is this last thing? (16) variable 3 and 8 and 1. So they just flipped the order. So 16 is greater than 8 times 1. So it's greater than equals greater than greater than. Holy, I can't type. Hope that's right. Oh boy. If it's not right, then why? Let's break it down. So the first one is 1 plus 2 question mark 1. 1 plus 2 is greater than A1. A is greater than. Now we have 4 divided by 4 B1. B is equals. That seems right. Then we have 8 squared. That's a 3. I thought that was an 8 when I first read it. No. I'm just completely reading this wrong. Okay, so it's 8 squared and 8 cubed. C 8 cubed. So this one's supposed to be less than. That was the only issue. So it's greater than, equals, less than, greater than. Oh. So I want to look at that formatting to see why I got confused. It's because of these ands. So let's go back to and. I don't like their suggestions. So it's just the formatting. Let's just try space before, space after, and only break on double. That's probably how it should have been. That's probably how I intended for it to be. And then I just never corrected it. So, okay, so all of the... I'm pretty sure all of these I don't want new line. I have to also make sure to stop the... clicking the wrong thing when going back. Whoops. before. So I recompiled that. I don't really think I had to, but I go back here now. 1 and 2 added together. And then variable 0 is saying what comparison. So 1 and 2 added together, and then compare that to 1. 4 and 4 divided by each other, and then compare that to 1. I forgot the exponent. So exponent is here. Oops. Transmissions. The latest one. So the one I got confused on was here. So now it's 8 and 2, 8 squared compared to 8 cubed. It's much easier to read. It looks like closing parentheses. Looks like closing parentheses, I don't want the new line. And then it looks like true has a new line before, or equals has a new line after. That, so it's not that either. So it's not neither of those things. It's just wrapping because there's not enough space. Well, anyway, so 0 is less than 1. So this is true. The comparison 0 is true. Comparison 1 is true. And then a new signal comparing 0 to 2 is also true. I don't know what the new signal is. It seems like it's the response they're looking for is less than, but I'm uncertain. Also, let me check if I forgot to unmute. I did not forget to unmute. Now that's interesting. What is the previous transmission defined signal 36, but it feels different than the other logical operations as of late. The response was different for sure. We weren't defining true or false. It was more like we were figuring something out that 0 is less than 2. Exactly. We're using logic to deduce a piece of information. So let's see what we've got to deduce now. I don't feel like looking at those. I have been I've not been too interested in the ideas, so I'm just going to mark as red. Okay, so the first comparison is variable 0 is greater than variable 1, and that's true. So we know variable 0 is greater than variable 1. So we know A is greater than B. But there's also, it's not just that. Before I write that, I'm just gonna put a question mark because I don't know, but it's true and the second comparison, which is variable 1 is greater than variable 2, which is also true, but with our undefined signal, which is confusing me, but let's see. So we're saying B is greater than C. This seems to be true. And then I guess following that logic, we are supposed to say that A is greater than C. Compilation failed. Right. Stupid. It's not A and C. It's variable 0. It's a space. Okay. Compare 0 equals... So what... That still doesn't... So... Like, basically, it means... Like, then. I think. Then. Seems pretty straightforward. So that's what they wanted me to do for hackers. So maybe this is where I would do an arrow? Instead? Comparison 0 is comparison 1 or comparison 2. Comparison 1 is true. Wait. Comparison 1 is true and comparison 2 is true. Then comparison 0 is variable 0. So this, it looks like an if statement. If comparison 1 is true and comparison 2 is true, then comparison 0 is equal to variable 0. If comparison 1 is true and comparison 2 is false, then comparison 0 is variable 1. If comparison 1 is false and comparison 2 is false, then comparison 0 is equal to variable 2. Then what? I guess it's true, false, false? Or... I'm not really sure what it's asking. But let's try true, false, false. But I don't think that's what they're asking. Is it? No. It didn't seem like what they were asking. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're asking for. So this was the most recent idea. They're entrusting us to define the innards of a compare ourselves. Our responsibilities are growing. And how does that make you feel? It's a challenge for sure, but the great Dr. Alan Ackers has never been known to shy away from challenge. You regret asking him? Yeah. That was 136, that's not what we want. This is 138, which is still... That's the previous one. So I still didn't get anything related to this one. Okay. Well... I'm pretty sure my understanding of this is right, that these are if statements. But then how does that... that's still... Right now, I'm still not really understanding how to... what kind of response they're looking for. Maybe it's like true and true, true and like maybe like, do I have to write out compare 1t and compare? It seems like so much to write out if that's what I'm supposed to do. I've never had to write out nearly that much before. And it seems not likely that that's what they're asking me to do. I'm just recompiling so that there's a space at the or. And I guess I should shorten this if I can. Compare 1 and compare 2. Alright, this would be easier for me to read if the ampersand had a space after. Fine, I'll just write it out. So if this is what it is, that's horrible. There's no way. Yeah, okay. But since that isn't what they're asking for, then I'm a bit at a loss. Well, let's go back to how I was doing it before. So if I just write it as A, B, C. So the problem is that I don't really know what these are. So comparison 0 equals comparison 1 or comparison 2. Comparison 1, so it's true and true. Comparison 0 or variable or A is true. So I was just thinking about it wrong. True and false is false, so comparison 0 or variable or B is false. Then the last one is false and false, C is false, so TFF. So it's not if statements. Nope, I'm wrong. Now, am I wrong because... What? Okay, so... if comparison 1 is true and comparison 2 is true, then comparison 0 is equal to variable 0. But that's comparison 1 or comparison 2. Yeah, so what I did here, I like went backwards. So this doesn't make any sense. What I did there doesn't make sense. They're trying to say Comparison 0. Wait, comparison 0 is comp 1 or comp 2. I mean, that's literally what's written. So now, when comp 1 is true and comp 2 is true, then comp 0 equals A. When comp 1 is true and comp 2 is false, then comp 0 equals B. When comp 1 is false and comp 2 is false, then comp 0 is C. That still doesn't really help me on what to input, but let's try doing comp 0, comp 0, comp 0. Nope. Yeah, I don't know. Well, if I replace comp 0 with comp 1 or comp 2 every single time, this would equal true, this would equal true, this would equal false, but I swear I tried this already, so I don't know. Okay, apparently I did not try that. I swear that was the first thing I tried though, so maybe I just wrote it wrong. Okay, so there's comparison 0. It exists. Comparison 1 is the opposite of comparison 0. We have some new signal suggesting new signal that's in front of comparison 0, which I don't know how to read it, but if we just ignore it, then it's comparison 0 is equal to true. Then, okay, the way this is formatted makes it impossible to read, so I can't do this arrow thing. It's just bad. So I'll go back to doing then. So this is probably if. So the thing I was assuming before, if you believe that to be an accurate representation for signal 37, then Dr. J-Dog, I will support your decision. She's funny. So let's just fix the formatting. I'll do a space before and after. If comparison 0 is true, so let's also fix the true and false formatting. If comparison 0 is true, then okay, I didn't mean to click that. I meant to go fix this formatting also. So I think the ones that are it just seems that I'm going to be doing the space before and after most of the time. If comparison 0 is true, then comparison 1 is false. If comparison 0 is false, then comparison 1 is true. Comparison 0 is variable 0 is less than variable 1. Variable 1 is less than variable 2. Variable 0 is greater than variable 2. Variable 0 is less than variable 2. If comparison 0 is true and comparison 1 is true, then comparison 2 is false and comparison 3 is true. How do I write it? In parentheses. 2 and 3. I don't think that's how I'm supposed to write it. Is it? No, that's not how I write it. Okay, if comparison 0 is true and comparison 1 is true, then I switch this to be true and this is false, which is correct. I hope. No? Maybe it's just telling me it just wants me to identify which one of the comparisons is false, which would be comparison 2. I must admit, I'm excited to see and, or, and then. Even though this is all mathematical logic, they at least seem more like words. I might have to share this with my husband before my excitement boils over. Tell your husband? This mission's top secret, you can't tell anyone. You told him about the mission. Carrie, what am I supposed to say? I've been away from home for over 2 months now. When did you tell him? After 2 weeks. 2 weeks? That's all you can make it? I told my wife after the mission brief. What? You are all rule breakers. It's just me and Dr. J-Dog to actually keep things under wraps. It's easy for you, Alan. And why is that? You are not married. Oh, whatever. I'll go tell all my friends about the mission then. Doppler already knows. Doppler's his only friend is what he's saying? That's kind of messed up. Well, anyway. We're now at comparison 0. Variable 0 equals variable 1. And variable 0 is equal to variable 1 times 2. Then we have variable 0 equals 3. Variable 1 equals 4. So this is... Okay, first let's do ampersand has a space before, but also it seems that my understanding of this comparison thing is wrong. Maybe this one's more like let. Or no, that can't be right. So I thought variable could be more like let. Anyway, where was I? I was at the ampersand space before. Variable 0, comparison 0 says variable 0 is equal to 2 times variable 1. A equals 2b. Then comparison 1 says A equals 3. Comparison comp 0 says comp 1 says that. Comp 2 says b equals 4. If A equals 3 and B equals 4, then comp 0 equals false. If 0 is equal to, if A is equal to negative B, if A is greater than 0, then B is less than 0. Oh boy. Okay, so what was that group? Propositional logic, numerical comparisons, logic, multi-part answers, rounding. Okay. This is a lot we're going through, and it's only week 10. And so there's so many transmissions in this 1 week. Like, I started at 100, so I went through 44 transmissions in, I guess it's 2 weeks. I just don't know how long I've been in week 10. Well, anyway, the shape 0's area is 8. Shape 1 area is 10. Shape 1 new signal, shape 0, and then if shape 2's area is 9, then something. So what are they trying to say? Shape 1, the only comparison you can make between the two shapes is between their area. So all it's saying is shape 1 has a larger area than shape 2. So maybe that's saying is larger. Than. Is larger than. Then poly 2 is larger than poly 0. Okay, so now with poly 0's area is 8, poly 1 area is 10, poly 0 is smaller than poly 1. So, or that's the way I can understand it right now. Then the formatting. If poly 2's area is 9 and poly 1 is larger than poly 2, then what? And poly 1 is larger than poly 2. Poly 0 is smaller than poly 1. Poly 2. Okay. Now we've got poly 0 area is 1. Poly 1 area is 8. Poly 2 area is 27. Poly 0 area is less than poly 1. So why now is it just using the less than or greater than? Is it... I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to be greater than or equal. Or maybe they're getting to that point. Well, anyway, if poly 0 area is greater than or is less than poly 1 area, then poly 1 is larger than poly 0. If poly 2 is larger than poly 1, then poly 2 is larger than poly 0. Poly 0 is smaller than poly 1. Poly 1 is smaller than poly 2. Poly 0 is smaller than poly 2. But I don't really understand. Okay. Like, there's a whole lot of information above that I'm not using. So, poly 0 area is less than poly 1 area. Then poly 1 is larger than poly 0. Poly 2 is larger than poly 1. Then poly 2 is larger than poly 0. Poly 0 is smaller than poly 1. Poly 1 is smaller than poly 2. Poly 0 is smaller than... I just wrote extra stuff. If poly 0 is... We compare poly 0 is equal to the opposite of poly 1, and poly 0 is larger than... You guys figure out the difference between greater than and is larger than. They seem to be the same. My mind's in the same place. So far, we've only used is larger than in regards to area. If that holds, I'd contend that is larger than refers to a specific property of geometry. It's an added layer of abstraction. The Meteor's language is beginning to bridge from math to more abstract language. So we're going somewhere with meaning. I hope. If poly 0 is equal to the opposite of poly 1, and poly 0 is larger than the opposite of poly 1, and poly 0 is smaller than the opposite of poly 1. What? Okay, let me write this out. So first of all, we have poly 0 is equal to opposite of poly 1. This is repeated a lot. So we have one saying they're equal, one saying is larger than opposite of poly 1, and one saying poly 0 is smaller than the opposite of poly 1. I mean, they cannot all be true. So it's starting with if. Then Comparison 0 says... Comparison 1 says... Comparison 2 says... Then... What's the message? I don't know what the message is. I'm trying to figure it out. So all I can say is, from my understanding of these signals, only one of the 3 can be true, but I don't know, like it's not like one is very, like none of them are guaranteed to be true based off of how I've currently defined them. But if I say that the first one's definitions have been confirmed, and the second and third one, the definition has not been confirmed, this is something I put in, but I'm not really too confident about it. So maybe this is just less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to, this is less than or equal to, then I just go with the initial thing. Comp 0 equals, it's comp 0 equals comp 1 equals comp 2. Maybe. But that's not how you write this out. So I don't think that's how you write it out. And comp 1 equals comp 2. Like, yeah, this is way too complicated of a response, so that cannot be the answer. But maybe I just write poly 0 equals poly 1. And that's it? No. And I have no idea. Okay. What are they telling me? How could all 3 of these comparisons be true? What? The same thought is in my head. Really? I guess great minds think alike, or at least they struggle together. How do you interpret these comps? Poly 0 is equal to the opposite of poly 1. 0 is not 1. Poly 0 is larger than the opposite of poly 1. 0 is not more area than 1. Poly 0 is smaller than poly 1. 0 is not less area than 1. And correct me if correct me if I've gone astray in my deduction, but it must be that poly 0 and poly 1 are the same size. So I'm supposed to have made the connection that this is larger than and is smaller than is specifically referring to area. And that's what they were telling me there, is that poly 0 area equals not poly 1 area? How am I supposed to write this out? I have to go back to a previous transmission. This seems like what they were trying to get me to reach. I don't know. I'm baffled by why that last thing I just put worked. So the whole time... Oh, okay. They were saying Poly 0 and Poly 1 are different shapes. I have no idea why they continued to use this exclamation point in the next two comparisons, because that made me think that there is a like this like I feel like this exclamation point isn't doing anything in the next two statements. Poly 0 is larger than not Poly 1. Poly 0 is smaller than not Poly 2. Like, that doesn't... If the answer it was looking for was that they're the same area but different shapes, then the next two statements, exclamation point doesn't make sense. I don't know. But that's usually when I get confused like that, it means I'm misunderstanding something. But I just move on. So Poly 0 is 4 points, so it's a square. Poly 1 is 5 points, so it's a pentagon. They have the same area. So the comparison between the areas is variable 0. So that should be true. The comparison between the shapes equivalents themselves is variable 1. It should be false. So the input they're looking for is true, comma, false. I hope. Okay. Thanks for coming. My side of the investigation, investigating the meteorite, has made some headway. I'll have more to share soon. Anyways, give me the rundown. Logic. Logic? Yeah. Explain. Dr. J-Dog can answer. Can I? Or at least through their dictionary. Compare true, false, negation, ampersand, or greater than, less than, is larger than, is smaller than, then, if. I think I get the picture. But where do you think they're going with all this? Why logic? Logic underpins information. Information describes the world. Describing the world is communication. I saw it another way. Logic gives us the tools to associate and compare information. We may use it to build sentences. Each week, the meteor puts a new topic of discussion on the table. The aim isn't always clear, but in time it will be. Anyways, any guesses on our employee of the week? It's gotta be me this time. I think the astronomer pitched in a hefty share. I think everyone on the team did a great job working together. Well then, congratulations to Batista, our employee of the week. For what? Congrats, thank you. Whatever. We'll meet again next week. As always, you four get some sleep. It should have been me. So many words defined. Logic, numerical comparisons, propositional logic, and geometry logic. Really? Batista yet again? Dear Diary, assuming the meteor will one day lead us to building sentences with each transmission, what would they look like? Grammar is helpful, a framework to learn where to expect subjects, verbs, and objects. But is it universal, perpetually valuable? Sometimes when one is so burrowed in one's work, it's easy to lose sight of what's been accomplished. I know I've been there, but now I hope everyone is doing okay. My thoughts are just, finally, we got to logic. Fun. Alright, that's so many hypotheses that I'll go through, but that will be
for another time because that was 2 weeks in game. That was longer than what I'd normally like to do, because it was like over 2 hours. I normally would want to stop at like an hour and 20 minutes maybe. Oh well.